Hi, I'm Chris. Today, I'll walk you through how B18 operates at a structural level, how value flows through the system, how incentives are aligned, and why the model is designed for scalability. We'll also look ahead at B18's development trajectory and what truly matters for its long-term growth. Let's get started. B18 is built on the B4626 on-chain banking framework, which brings structured finance logic onto the blockchain. The system operates with lifecycle-based rules and time-based value accumulation, allowing capital to grow in a disciplined and transparent manner. At its core, B18 is designed for long-term sustainability, not short-term speculation. This page explains why new financial standards are needed. Today, most DeFi systems lack a clear financial structure and a long-term core focus. Returns are often unpredictable and driven by incentives rather than real market fundamentals. Liquidation depends heavily on price fluctuations, which increases systemic risk. Financial transactions are not standardized, typically limited to simple deposits and withdrawals. Assets lack lifecycle management, and liquidation mechanisms are not native to the system. As a result, value cannot flow naturally into the real world. This page explains what is missing in Web3 finance. Traditional finance is built on a complete systemic backbone. It includes standardized liquidation rules, asset lifecycle management, steady-state mechanisms, and the ability to export payments into the real economy. However, Web3 has not yet protocolized these foundations. Most DeFi systems only handle assets, not true financial products. Without lifecycle design and structural mechanisms, on-chain finance cannot naturally connect to the real world. This page explains why now is the right time. Web3 infrastructure has reached a level where base performance is sufficient to support real financial logic. The ecosystem is shifting away from pure speculation toward payments and real-world commerce. At the same time, major platforms have opened gateways to millions of users. What is still missing is a unified financial behavior layer. That is why now is the best time to build a true Web3 financial standards layer. B18 is a next-generation on-chain financial infrastructure built on the B4626 banking protocol layer. At the protocol level, B18 defines time-based accounts, interest engines, periodic banking products, and the native liquidation system, forming a complete on-chain treasury state. On top of this foundation, the product layer structures financial instruments such as treasury bonds, LP bonds, pledge mechanisms, and swap functions. These products connect directly to the payment layer, enabling consumption, settlement, and withdrawals. Together, these layers transform on-chain assets into structured financial products with real-world usability. B4626 is the protocol kernel that transforms traditional DeFi vaults into an on-chain time bank system. It standardizes how on-chain assets are exposed, accumulated, settled, and redeemed over time. Through time-based interest engines, periodic banking products, and a native liquidation engine, assets are managed across their full life cycle rather than simple deposits and withdrawals. The system introduces a two-layer steady-state treasury structure, ensuring predictability, maturity redemption, and system stability. With time displacement mechanisms built in, each vault functions as an independent on-chain time bank account. This is how B4626 forms the core banking protocol layer behind B18's on-chain financial system. B4626 defines the financial core of B18. It standardizes how value accumulates over time, how assets mature, when liquidation is triggered, and how system stability is maintained. It also defines how on-chain finance connects to real-world payment systems. At its core, B4626 treats financial agreements as repeatable structures. Asset cycles, fund allocation, liquidation logic, payment mapping, treasury stability, risk parameters, and profit models are all defined at the protocol level. Just as ERC20 standardized digital assets, B4626 standardizes financial activities on-chain. This is what turns isolated assets into a complete financial system. ERC4626 did an important job by standardizing the vault interface, but its scope is limited to basic actions such as deposits, withdrawals, shares, and NAV calculation. B4626 goes beyond interface standardization. It protocolizes banking behavior itself. This includes ASEP, bank account semantics, periodic structures, liquidation engines, steady-state treasury design, and payment export capabilities. As a result, on-chain assets are no longer static vault positions. They gain a full life cycle of interest accrual, settlement, reserve management, and real-world payment integration. ERC4626 focuses on asset storage. It defines how assets are deposited and withdrawn, but it does not define income, term structure, liquidation rules, stability, or payability. In ERC4626, assets sit in a vault without financial behavior. B4626 defines operation, clearing, and output. Assets are treated as time-based bank accounts with exposure, income logic, maturity cycles, settlement engines, treasury stability, and payment export capabilities. The shift is from passive storage to active financial operation. This is the difference between a vault standard and a banking protocol. User assets enter the system and are deposited into the on-chain time bank. Once deposited, assets generate exposure-based interest and are structured into cycle-based financial products with defined terms. At maturity, assets move through the settlement and redemption process. Redeemed value is routed into the Treasury and reserve system, where risk management, hedging, and the 334 stable replacement mechanism maintain system stability. From there, value is bridged into the payment layer, enabling real-world consumption through UCard. Finally, payments flow into the merchant network, completing the connection between on-chain finance and real-world economic activity. This is how assets move from holding to growth to settlement and into real-world use. In B4626, each vault is reconstructed as an independent time bank account. User assets are treated like deposits in an on-chain bank, where value grows automatically over time. Exposure functions as the bank's interest calculation engine. It increases deterministically with time, rather than relying on APY manipulation or speculative rates. Settlement value is generated in conjunction with cyclical financial products, forming a structured accumulation process. All calculations are fully transparent and verifiable on-chain. This is how time, not speculation, becomes the core driver of value growth. B18's Time Bank offers three core product types that form a sustainable value cycle. Treasury bonds represent the system's stable base. Users purchase treasury bonds with stable assets, and at maturity, receive full principal with predefined returns backed by the treasury structure. LP bonds introduce controlled exposure. Funds are allocated between liquidity provision and treasury reserves, allowing users to earn enhanced returns while maintaining systemic stability. Staking connects long-term participation to the time bank. Assets remain locked over defined periods, accumulating interest through time-based mechanisms rather than short-term incentives. Together, these products structure risk, time, and return into a unified financial framework. Each time bank product operates as an independent interest-bearing agreement. Every period, such as 30, 90, 180, or 360 days, has its own interest curve, risk parameters, and system boundaries. Interest accumulation is independent and not influenced by other products or market speculation. Each product defines its own steady-state conditions and deflation curve, ensuring predictable value behavior over time. Settlement is executed automatically at maturity, without manual intervention. Clearing and payment routing are handled through independent gateways. This structure turns time into a measurable, isolated, and contract-enforced source of yield. The stability treasury functions as the system's long-term stabilizer. It absorbs time-based accumulation pressure, manages clustered liquidity fluctuations, and controls accelerated release during periods of excess demand. Through temporal curve shaping and supply compression, the Treasury smooths settlement outcomes and buffers systemic risk. Surplus value flows into the Sync Pool Pro, while replenishment flows back when liquidity is needed. Sync Pool Pro operates as a real-time dynamic balancing layer, automatically correcting deviations and synchronizing with the Treasury state. Together, these mechanisms ensure that growth remains orderly, settlements remain smooth, and stability is maintained across cycles. The SNT liquidation engine is the core mechanism that governs redemption stability within the B18 time bank system. Users pledge cyclical products such as Treasury bonds, LP bonds, and B18 assets as collateral. Under normal conditions, redemptions are processed smoothly when the previous day's Treasury inflow exceeds outflow. When Treasury outflow exceeds inflow, the system does not force immediate liquidation. Instead, the 334 stabilization and replenishment mechanism is automatically activated. This mechanism absorbs pressure, reallocates liquidity, and restores balance before payments are executed. As a result, redemptions remain orderly, predictable, and systemically protected. The 334 stable replacement mechanism is a system-level stabilizer, not a profit distribution rule, and not a continuous liquidity injection. It is dynamically triggered only when the previous day's Treasury outflow exceeds Treasury inflow. When this condition occurs, the SNT liquidation engine is activated. Agreement benefits and contribution revenue generated during liquidation are partially redirected. 30% is routed into the SPP balance pool. The SPP pool then interacts with the steady-state Treasury, absorbing pressure during deficits and returning surplus during recovery. This mechanism ensures that liquidity stress is recycled into system stability rather than cascading into forced liquidation or payout failure. Time shift exit is an accelerated release of product cycle benefits. It does not create new yield and does not break the original agreement structure. Instead, it advances future benefits forward in time under predefined conditions. Acceleration is funded through agreement benefits and contribution revenue, not from the Treasury principal. Users who choose time shift exit donate B18 into the SPP balance pool. This donation absorbs system deviation through a bilayer steady-state structure. As a result, protocol benefits and contribution rewards are released faster, while overall system stability remains intact. Time is shifted forward, but risk is not. The payment bridge connects on-chain value with real-world payments. On-chain assets remain recorded and verified within the B4626 system through uBridge. When a user makes a payment, value is routed from the user to uCard, then through the payment processor, and finally settled with the merchant. The source of funds is the uCard balance, which originates from B4626 settled assets rather than speculative liquidity pools. Settlement is handled off-chain for speed and compliance, while value ownership and accounting remain on-chain. This separation allows B18 to maintain on-chain transparency while enabling real-world usability at scale. uCard is the real-world payment interface of the B18 system. It allows users to directly use their on-chain time-based earnings for consumption, transfers, and everyday payments. uCard supports multiple payment scenarios, including brick-and-mortar merchants, e-commerce, subscriptions, fund transfers, and international payments. While payments are executed in the real world for efficiency and compliance, the entire process remains auditable, verifiable, and transparently settled on-chain. UCard is supported across multiple countries, enabling cross-border usage without breaking the on-chain financial structure. This is how B18 turns on-chain value into usable global spending power. B18 is designed as an expandable on-chain banking infrastructure. At the protocol level, B18 enables AI-powered wealth management agents to automate cycle selection, reconfiguration, and risk exposure control. Through BankFi, on-chain agreements can provide enterprises and institutions with core banking functions, including interest calculation, clearing, reserves, and payments. Compliance is addressed through modular regulatory bridges, such as X402 compliance labeling and account marking, allowing integration without compromising decentralization. On the asset side, B18 supports real-world asset integration, including fixed income models and tokenized government or corporate bonds. Through UCard and UBridge, B18 expands into a global merchant payment network, connecting on-chain value to real-world consumption channels. This is not a single product roadmap. It is a scalable financial operating system built on time-based value logic. Starting your B18 journey is not about chasing returns. It begins with choosing a time-based financial structure that fits your risk profile and time horizon. You enter the system by allocating assets into a time bank product, where value is accumulated, managed, and settled through predefined on-chain rules. From there, B18 handles interest generation, stability control, and liquidity mechanisms automatically. Your role is simple: choose the cycle, understand the structure, and let time do the work. B18 is issued on the base chain. The total supply of B18 is 10,100,000 tokens. Among them, 10 million tokens are allocated to the delivery contract, and 100,000 tokens are allocated to the liquidity pool. Buy-side and sell-side slippage are both fixed at 3%. No additional token issuance will occur. All slippage collected is used exclusively for community operations, rather than individual rewards or incentives. The B18 token supply is fixed and transparent, with liquidity intentionally limited to maintain system discipline and prevent uncontrolled speculative expansion. Treasury bonds in B18 are periodic fixed income products built on the B4626 agreement framework. Each product cycle is predefined, including 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, and 360 days. The corresponding daily return rates are fixed by cycle: 0.5%, 0.7%, 1.0%, and 1.2% respectively. All products follow a compound interest structure, with cumulative returns calculated over the full cycle duration. Participation requires a valid account threshold, with a minimum single subscription of 100 USDC. Subscriptions are made through a 100% USDC pledge, and all assets are settled under the SPP framework. The purpose of Treasury bonds is not short-term speculation, but to strengthen system reserves and maintain long-term stability within the B18 ecosystem. LP bonds are designed to provide permanent liquidity for the B18 protocol. Unlike traditional liquidity mining, LP bonds rely on direct user subscriptions, allowing the protocol to continuously accumulate and control its own liquidity, thereby maintaining stable trading depth and clearing capacity. LP bonds offer predefined product cycles of 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, and 360 days. The corresponding daily return rates are 0.5%, 0.7%, 1.0%, and 1.2% respectively. Returns follow a compound interest structure, with cumulative interest capped at 36 times. Participation requires a valid account, with a minimum single subscription of 100 USDC. Each LP bond subscription is split as follows: 50% USDC is used to form liquidity pairs, and 50% is converted into B18 through the delivery contract. The generated liquidity is injected into the protocol-owned bottom pool, permanently strengthening B18's liquidity base rather than short-term incentives. B18 staking is a protocol contribution product designed for long-term participants. Users stake B18 tokens to receive protocol rewards generated through exposure, reinforcing the system's internal value cycle. Staking acts as the long-term growth engine of B18 and serves as a source of base interest rates outside of all cyclical products. B18 staking offers fixed product cycles of 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, and 360 days. The corresponding daily return rates are 0.5%, 0.7%, 1.0%, and 1.2%. Returns follow a compound interest structure, with cumulative returns capped at 36 times. Participation requires a valid account, with a minimum single pledge of 100 units. Staking follows a single currency pledge model, where users stake B18 only, directly aligning participant behavior with the protocol's long-term value growth. Contribution rewards are generated from performance-based activity within the community structure. Rewards are distributed according to individual contribution performance combined with overall community performance and calculated through a unified bonus pool mechanism. In simple terms, performance returns equal individual contribution performance multiplied by overall community performance and then multiplied by the bonus pool. The contribution system follows a hierarchical structure. The first layer carries a 100% weighting. Each subsequent layer is discounted by 25% per level, resulting in gradually reduced contribution impact across deeper levels. Lower layers maintain a minimum weighting floor of 10%, ensuring participation remains meaningful without over-amplification. Contribution levels range from V1 to V10, each requiring a defined pledged or subscribed amount, along with corresponding community performance thresholds. As levels increase, participants unlock a higher agreement revenue share, ranging from 10% at V1 up to 100% at V10. This structure ensures that rewards are tied to measurable contribution, sustained participation, and collective community performance, rather than passive holding. The protocol revenue time shift mechanism defines how earnings are released earlier in exchange for contribution. Different release cycles correspond to different required purchase ratios, and each option represents a trade-off between release speed and contribution intensity. For short release cycles, a 30-day release requires a 3% purchase ratio. A 15-day release requires 6%. A 7-day release requires 10%. A 24-hour release requires 20%. In each case, users purchase B18 tokens worth the required ratio and donate the tokens to the SPP balancing pool. Shorter release cycles provide faster access to earnings but require higher contribution commitment. For long-term performance and earnings time shift, a 100-day release requires a 10% purchase ratio. A 60-day release requires 20%. A 30-day release requires 30%. The operation method remains the same. Purchase 18 B tokens based on the required ratio and donate them to the SPP pool. Longer release cycles reduce contribution cost, while shorter cycles prioritize speed and capital efficiency. This mechanism ensures that accelerated earnings are always matched by measurable protocol contribution, maintaining system stability and fairness. To summarize, B18 is not designed as a short-term yield product. It is a time-based value system where earnings, liquidity, and contribution are structurally linked. Every accelerated return is backed by real participation, and every long-term position strengthens the system itself. B18 is about understanding how value moves over time and choosing when, how, and why you participate. This is not a promise, it's a framework. And now, the decision is yours. If you want to keep receiving insights like this, stay connected. I'm Chris. See you on Chain.